So now if we look at the reaction of metals that are below with water, if we talk about the reaction of aluminium, aluminium will react with only steam, right, forming aluminium oxide and hydrogen. That too, when aluminium is heated, it will react with steam, right? Same is with iron. Iron, when heated, will react with steam, forming Fe2O3 plus hydrogen. So now we know that the reactivity of metals decreases as we come down the series, because aluminium and iron are not able to react with cold water or even at room temperature, because these are less reactive metals. So these metals needs to be heated, and even the water needs to be even the water should be in steam, right? These two metals will react with steam only when heated, forming their oxides. But when we talked about this potassium metal, it reacted with water at room temperature, right, and even catched fire because of the violent reaction, right? So this proves the reactivity decreases down the series. Now let's talk about reaction of metals with acids. Right? Now if we take the example of sodium, right? Sodium will react with reaction of metals with dilute acids. It will react with sodium will react with HCl, forming sodium chloride and hydrogen, right? And this is a very violent reaction again, right? Because sodium is a very reactive metal, it will violently react with HCl, liberating hydrogen gas, right? So as we come down the series, right, when we come down the series, like now let's talk about calcium. Calcium react with acid to form calcium chloride plus hydrogen. This reaction is not violent as reaction with sodium, right? Now as we come little more down the series, let's talk about lead. Lead will react with HCl, forming PbCl2. This is a precipitate, we know, right? Now reaction of lead with HCl will stop after some time. Why? Because the lead chloride, or even in case of sulfuric acid, lead sulfate will form, which is again a precipitate. So lead will react with acids, dilute acids, to give you precipitate, and the reaction will stop because of the formation of this insoluble precipitate, right? So this reaction stops after some time because of the formation of insoluble precipitate, right? Now let's see the reactivity of metals among one another. The metal which is above in the series will displace metal which is below in the series from its salt solution, right? I'll just write it over here. Metal above will displace metal below from its salt solution. Let's see how. Let's see what we mean by this. For example, the zinc metal is above copper, right? So zinc will displace copper from the salt solution of copper sulfate. That is, if we react zinc with copper sulfate, the zinc will displace copper from copper sulfate. The reaction would be, so what it means is, for what we're trying to prove is that metal which is above in the series will displace metal which is below in the series, right? So zinc will react with copper sulfate, forming zinc sulfate plus copper. So zinc has displaced copper from copper sulfate solution. And if we can just do a little experiment for this. Let's suppose we have taken the zinc sulfate solution, right, and we've placed a zinc rod into this zinc sulfate solution. After some time, what you will observe is that some copper will start depositing. This is copper sulfate. some copper will start depositing at the bottom, right, and this zinc rod will get consumed, right. That you will see that this zinc rod will start becoming thin slowly and finally will dissolve in this copper sulfate solution. So since this zinc rod is getting consumed, what it means is zinc is more reactive. Zinc is more reactive than copper. That is why it's reacting with copper sulfate solution, right, and trying to displace copper from copper sulfate solution. And this copper is settling here at the bottom. So this proves that this proves that metal above in the series will displace metal below from its salt solutions. Right. Now we have reduction of metal oxides. Reduction of metal oxides. We have already discussed this in electrolysis, right? Metal oxides, if we talk about oxides of potassium, sodium, calcium, magnesium, aluminium, these metal oxides, since one thing that we normally know is, if there is a metal oxide, right, then oxide, suppose this is a copper oxide, lead oxide, right? Now these oxides, if you want to reduce these oxides, what you will do? You will take carbon monoxide, right, or you can take some other reducing agent like hydrogen, right? It will react, this reducing agent will reduce these metal oxides to their metals, right? It will form CO2 plus copper. Similarly here it will form lead plus CO2. So these reducing agents, carbon monoxide, which is a reducing agent, has displaced metal, or has reduced metal, right? Has reduced this metal oxide to its corresponding metal, right? Now let's talk about these metals, copper and lead. We know that these are little below in the series, so these are less reactive, right? And their oxides, these are metallic oxides, right? The oxides of copper and lead are reduced by common reducing agents like carbon monoxide and hydrogen to their corresponding metals. Now let's see about oxides of reactive metals like sodium, potassium, magnesium, calcium, aluminium. These oxides, for example, aluminium oxide, right, or sodium oxide, these oxides, these compounds first, these oxides are highly stable, right? These are very stable compounds. Because why? Because these metals, we know this sodium, potassium, these are very reactive metals, right? Due to their reactive nature, they have very high strong affinity for oxygen, right? These metals have very high strong affinity for oxygen, due to which it's very difficult to remove oxygen from these metallic oxides using common reducing agents like carbon monoxide and hydrogen, right? So these common reducing agents would not be able to reduce oxides of reactive metals, right, to their metals. For example, like if we try to reduce aluminium oxide using carbon monoxide or hydrogen, this would not work. This reaction would not take place. Why? Because we know that Al2O3 is stable and have high affinity for oxygen due to aluminium being reactive metal, right? Since aluminium is very reactive, so it has high affinity for oxygen and the oxide is very stable. So what we do is, instead of using common reducing agents, we need to use electricity to reduce these metal oxides. To reduce aluminium oxide or sodium oxide or magnesium oxide, we use electricity, right, to reduce these metal oxides, and this is known as electrolytic reduction. We are using electricity, that means we are using process electrolysis to reduce these metal oxides. So we say that these metal oxides will not undergo reduction with these common reducing agents, carbon monoxide and hydrogen. So the way to reduce them is to use electrolytic reduction of these metal oxides, right? So we do, for these oxides, we do electrolytic reduction. Just understand this concept clearly here, because we would be using this in next lecture when we will do metallurgy of aluminium, and in metallurgy of aluminium we would be doing electrolytic reduction of alumina, right? And there you should know why we are doing electrolytic reduction of alumina, why we can't reduce it using these common reducing agents, right? So just take down all this, right? And I hope all this is clear to you, right? Thanks.